Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope you're having a great day. In this video, we'll be showing you two different liquid energy effects that you can use for your edits. These effects are perfect if you're going for more of a trippy type of edit. So here in After Effects, for the first effect, I'll be using this clip of Ken Carson. We're going to first double click the layer and rotoscope our subject. Grab the rotobrush tool, and in order to make your rotobrush bigger or smaller, you want to hold the control button, left click, and just drag your mouse. And then if there's any unwanted parts that you didn't want to rotoscope, you can hold the Alt button on your keyboard, left click, and just drag over any of those unwanted parts. And now I'm going to rotoscope my subject. After rotoscoping your subject, you want to then click the freeze button in order to lock in your rotoscope. Let's go back into the composition. And now, as you guys can see, we have our rotoscope subject here. I'm going to increase the feather to 9, and then I'm going to decrease the shift edge to -50. And by doing that, it just makes the edges of our subject feel smoother. We're going to then duplicate this layer, click Ctrl D, and then the layer on the bottom is going to be our background layer. So let's first rename these layers just to make it easier. I'll rename this to Ken BG, which stands for background. And then for the top one, I'll just name that to Ken. The background layer, delete the rotobrush effect for that layer. And then we're also going to duplicate this layer one more time. So we now have two rotoscoped layers of our subject, and then we have the background layer. And the layer in the middle is going to be the layer that we add all the effects on. For the first effect, we're going to add a turbulent displace, and for this turbulent displace, I'll change the displacement to turbulent smoother. I'll be increasing the amount, and I'll have it like at around 433, and we're going to keyframe both the amount as well as the evolution at the beginning. Click that layer, click U to reveal the keyframes, and then let's go forward 20 frames. So you can hold the shift button on your keyboard and click page down twice in order to go forward 20 frames. And we're going to keyframe the amount to 0. For the evolution, we'll have that go one full cycle. So let's keyframe the evolution at 360 degrees. Grab all 4 of those keyframes, easy ease them. For the next effect, we're going to add a glow, and for this glow effect, we're going to increase the glow radius. I'll increase that to 80, and then increase the glow intensity to around 3. Keyframe the glow intensity at 3 at the start, and then let's go forward 20 frames again. Keyframe the glow intensity back to 0. Easy ease both of those keyframes. And by adding that glow effect, it just makes our distorted effect pop out a little more. We're going to now add a tritone. For this tritone effect, you can go for whatever color that you want. I'll go for more of a green color. For the next effect, let's add a hue saturation. And with this hue saturation effect, we're going to have it light up in different colors as the distorted effect is animating. In order to have the colors constantly changing, we're going to keyframe the channel range, go forward 20 frames, keyframe the master hue at 360 degrees so that it goes one full cycle. Easy ease both of those keyframes. And now, as you guys can see, as it's animating, the colors are constantly changing. And then for the final effect, we're going to add a transform. With this transform effect, we're going to keyframe the scale. We're going to have the scale bigger at the start. So let's have it at 150, and then keyframe the scale, go forward 20 frames, and keyframe the scale back to 100. Easy ease both of those keyframes. And because we're animating the scale as well, let's also turn on the motion blur. For these scale keyframes, I'm also going to go into the graph editor, and I'll have the influence on the right side at 100%. So it animates pretty fast at the beginning and then slows down towards the end. And now when I play this is what we have for our first liquid effect. Now moving on to the second effect, we're going to also begin by rotoscoping our subject. Let's first rename these layers. So I'll rename that to Sophago. Double click the layer, and then grab your rotobrush tool and rotoscope your subject. After rotoscoping your subject, hit the freeze button, go back into the composition, and I'll be adjusting the feather as well as the shift edge. Increase the feather to around 11 and decrease the shift edge to -40. Click Ctrl D in order to duplicate this layer so that we have a background layer, and then rename it to Sophago BG. Delete the rotobrush effect for that layer. For this background layer, we're going to begin by adding a turbulent displace. Open up the displacement, and I'll change that to turbulent smoother. Increase the amount to 300, and then I'll also increase the size to 150, and also increase the complexity to 3. Let's keyframe the amount at 300. Click that layer, click U to reveal the keyframes, and then go forward 24 frames. Keyframe the amount back to 0. Easy ease both of those keyframes, and then go into the graph editor. For this graph, I'll have the influence on the right side at 100%. Now when we play this, we have that liquid background effect. For the next effect, we're going to add a tritone. I'll be changing the midtones and go for more of purple color. So I'll have mine like that. And for this tritone effect, we want the colors to change from this purple color into the regular color. So we're going to keyframe the blend with original at 0% at the start, and then go forward 24 frames, keyframe it at 100%. Easy ease both of those keyframes, go into the graph editor and then create the same exact graph. Make sure you only have the keyframe selected and then have the influence at 100%. Now when we play this, it goes from purple into the regular color. For the next effect, we're going to add a glow. You can add whatever glow that you want. I'll go for the uni glow. Decrease the size to 10, and then we're going to keyframe the intensity at 1 at the start. Go forward 24 frames, keyframe the intensity back to 0. Easy ease both of those keyframes and then go into the graph editor, create the same graph. When it comes to this liquid effect, you can sometimes have a transparent background. As you guys can see, I have it right there. And in order to fix that, we can just add a motion tile. Add the motion tile to the top so it's above all of your other effects. In my case, I'll just increase the output width and the output height to 200. Click mirror edges. It can also change the look of your background as well. As you guys can see, if we have it off, it looks like that, and then if we turn it on, it looks a little different. We're going to now add our final effect, which is a transform. With this transform effect, we're going to keyframe both the scale as well as the rotation so that we can have a background spinning effect. To get started, I'll first increase the scale to, I would say, around like 300. And then since I want the rotation to happen in a clockwise direction, keyframe the rotation at -180 degrees, keyframe both of those at the start, and then go forward 24 frames, keyframe scale back to 100, and then keyframe the rotation to 0. Easy ease all of those keyframes. Go into the graph editor of the scale keyframes, and for this graph, I'll have the influence at 100%, and then for the start, I'll have the influence at 0.01%. It animates really fast at the start, and then it slows down towards the end. And for the rotation keyframes, I'll create the same exact graph. Turn on the motion blur for this layer. And now when I play this, this is what we have for our liquid animation. To make this look even better, I'm going to grab these keyframes for the turbulent displace, tritone, and the uniglow, and just drag it forward 6 frames so that we can offset it from the transform keyframes. Now when I play this, it just makes the liquid effect last a little longer just by offsetting those keyframes. But that is all I have for this video. Those are 2 different ways that you can add trippy effects to your edits. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.